on supporting no said the bear obet me Eddie Juma said ye amamrano exreno. Abusia and some way and the account will be a bebesom more meeting at the Obrempong Akwasi Yeboah. Yantua Yansha na Yanfa Casenemu and Chumudo and Fa and Somo. Na yet was so ever road minister Nasia yet, and they were born man yese abandoned no a pencil, and ye wonum eshe akwan woodwo pi ase, se obesha na wa yisa akwan no. Na enam sefo fie antwata na wonum ekwa yenti no, akwan ni bi eka ensinsemu. Ya wonum entimi anye enwie eno na Ghana ban ebo amane se wonhwe enye nhwe han emasa akwan yi enka honum saa na mum wonum betu na mum bia wo betumi na wonum atoa saa akwan ne so eno nti osofo ya wono enhwe omai Ghana akwantempon ene eho ensem so e de sansem yi etuja honorable Kwame Governs Agbaja ene de sansem yi etuja
office as president. Majority of roads in our country road projects were stalled. Indeed, almost 100 projects in this region, which were started previously, the contractors were not there. So as a matter of fact, over 90% of road contractors, stopped work before 2024 election. They were just not there, simply because government owed them a huge amount of money in almost 40 billion Ghana cedis worth of work done, and the contractors were not paid. They were owing the banks and everything, and they stopped work. In 2017, the reaction of the previous government was to take a policy position and say that all contractors should stop work while they do an investigation. The biggest victim of that policy was the Cocoa Road. Indeed, I attribute the collapse of the Cocoa Road to that uninformed decision by the previous government to suspend for investigation. Indeed, when they finished the investigation, proved that nothing wrong went until after 2016 election. President Mahama is a different president. He's a reset president. Instead of saying that we should suspend all the projects, and let me say, almost all those projects were awarded through sole sourcing. We have only about 3 records in the Ministry of Open Competitive Bidding. Many of the projects didn't even have commencement authorization, in the sense that the Ministry of Finance wasn't even aware that we were going to be paying for these things. But President Mahama is different. He said, do not suspend or cancel any project. Encourage the contractors to go on to continue working. And indeed, I want to congratulate all the patriotic contractors who went back to side because they believe in President Mahama to do that. And indeed, President Mahama backed his policy by
Ora Kwame Governs Agbaja edin semwe etuja ebra resetting Ghana to no ekoso ewo UDS eno de tuja na wokoso a ekire mu se big push agenda ya Ora Mahama Ghana mampanin ede eboa ma akwan yi ahodo etimi agina brane wo my Ghana mu no sabi anya selected constituencies ebi ena wonum ede ko honum na mum eyo my Ghana nyina big push eno ntia kwan hodo a ewo my Ghana nyina big push no ebetumi atretre ne nkwaban mu akohonum eno nti wonum obo amane se akwan bia ewo Ghana na edi se aban ne ye no aban no behwe abone homodin se wobetumi ayaboa se de be ya ebema o my Ghana yensi kasem yakonya badie ene yejadi ahodo nyina atimi akoso se akwan ya eboa ema economy so etimi ejina yie. Honorable Kwame Governs Agbaja.
Your Excellency has also not left it with Big Push alone. And I took time to explain that Big Push is not a constituency-specific intervention. Big Push is his idea to the first phase 1 is to address all the trunk road challenges. So interconnect regions and interconnect them back into the regional capital. So you see that the Western Corridor from Wechi all the way to Wa is under construction as we speak. The Eastern Corridor, as I said, the sections that are not complete are being completed, and in many parts of the country that is going on. Indeed, the Dambai Bridge is already under contract, and hopefully by the end of 2028, work should have significantly advanced, if not completed, on that one. And this will be the longest bridge so far started, which is about 1.5 kilometers. It has never happened before. If you look at Akwasi Bridge and you think it's long, Imagine 1.5 kilometers of that happening. And also the Volivo Bridge, which he started and was never continued, is back on track as the finance minister announced in Washington that the contractors are coming back. But the wonder actually is the Chiamanfo Bridge, which will be 3 kilometers of bridge. Not many bridges like this are happening in even Africa. What I'm trying to say is that through the vision of President Mahama, he has embarked on the largest ever, possibly the largest ever road infrastructure investment on the continent of Africa. There's no country in Africa that has a single project as extensive as this. And guess what? He is doing all this without any money from abroad, through the sweat of the Ghanaian. And we have selected some of the best contractors to do this. And I must be proud that some of the contractors who are working on this are your sons from this region.
Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim Oswafo ya Oshe mantamu amamuoso. Ene wodi abeto montin se aban yi wonum edi buses bese ahanu 200 ena aban yi aya adwene se wo beto na wodi aboa ama akoniabadie wo my Ghana mu atimi agina yie se obehwe e wo my Ghana mu a enkameya ye se nansen kasi ehwo ayedin pa ne titiro ne ekuro akese mu ene woni a ekọ adwuma ka ho aye wondin eno nam so bi ama ankrankran adorabafo etimi efa nipa ekwan bia so se de wo pe agi sika se de wo pe eno enam nam so ama aban yi ebo amane se wo hwe ni mu se buses 200 wonum edeba na wodi abehye ayalolo dwumadie ya wodi wo my Ghana mu no na aboa ma akoniabadie etimi agina so na manebo a wobo nyina ene se sika wodi behye sa dwumadie ni mu no aye 1 million pounds eno ene wodi behye mu na ne nyina afri Spain na ban sika ya wodi ebeboa Ghana ban no de edi sa dwuman ebra honorable edi sansemi etugya no sei ena boka edi fa ho.
As I speak to you, the new MD started with a Spanish grant, and we gave the letter to the Minister for Finance in November 2025. And you know that was the first year of the minister, so he was too busy. So the ambassador was on us. The day we went to Gapti with the vice president, the finance minister called me, Ahmed, this is your thing. So he signed it. It is now with the Spanish ambassador who was following us to make sure that the letter of no objection was signed by the finance minister for them to give us 1.something million euros for each corridor. And when, for us to do feasibility studies, after which the Spanish government will give us 200 buses. So that is what we have done for Ayalolo. But when you compare the transport system in Ghana, Ayalolo is the best. Why is Ayalolo the best? Metro Mass had 1,400 buses. Currently, they have only 400 out of 1,400. Ayalolo had 245. As I speak to you, they have 54 in Kumasi, and they have about 180 here. Even though they have not added, but the shortage is not as fast as Metro Mass, where the previous government sold about 1,000 of them. That has not happened under Ayalolo. So in the coming days, when the Spanish government brings the grant and the feasibility studies is completed on the corridors, about 200 new buses will be brought to augment Ayalolo, and that is what we are all working.
Yentwa so awo asantimantam mu na asantimantam NPP chairman Enchibo Siako dodo na abo ne din chairman buntumi na woni akunta mining ensensem ya wode kopie mu ewo court wonum tire no tire kopie mu wo high court na sadie o my Ghana emra ensem etie no se ye de wonsem ekopie mu ewo court na yesemon wa ye frɛ no saman no yesaman wa esese open defense na no na chema wontumi ne lawyer apia kubi ade ebeto montin se wonum open defense na mom de wo pene se court no mo na won suspend high court wonum asem ya wo pese wodie ade fa ono ene akonta mining ho no enye sa se wokọ so ade animonimu ya ekodi asem na wanhwe yi a na ekwan a obefa so adi asem no anko ne yie sede wo pe no eno ntinka wonum antwentwen so eno nti baako mienu miensa ne nyina wode akose nka court no moa na wontimi antwentwen ensem no so eno nam so bi ma chairman wontumi sign the copy mu wo appeal court se ne nyina wonhwe na nka high court asem a wopese wodidi egud etia no wonhwe se wobetimi atwentwen so animonimu yi nanso enei wodi copy mu ewo appeal court no assign aboagu se still the assessor wo ya ne se obebie defense na wotimi agina mu ama wotimi adi asem no na asem ade na asem akọ eno na lawyer and the appeal kubi ene nsentrofo edi nkomo no wotiachire mu sedie ensem no esi ekoye enedey.
Go back to the instant court to prepare our witness statements and continue the case and see the outcome of the case itself. So, in a nutshell, this ruling brings us to the end at the Court of Appeal in respect of the application for stay.
Is there a decision to go up?
We'll have to go back to the chamber and look at the options, and then we will let you know which line of action we take. For now, like I said, we are open to two lines of action. One is to go up to the Supreme Court, and the other is to go down to the High Court to continue the proceedings.
When you say either or, is it your point that filing of your witness statement is hinged on your decision whether to go to the Supreme Court or not?
Exactly. If we decide to go to the Supreme Court, we will then proceed to the Supreme Court and pursue the matter there. If we decide to go back to the High Court to continue the proceedings, so we do. So the options are open to us. So we'll go to the chamber, discuss with our client, and then we'll consider the next line of action.
Edom kumaya wonum ewo emrahye bejafie enei wafre ensentrofo enhyiamu na ensentrofo enhyiamu ni nyina ase no wonkomo ya wode etudwa ene se His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ene ne NDC aban ya enei wonum bu o my Ghana wonum ema won position enye clear se eba special prosecutor ne office no na so ye no a woma ye hu se ono na ban no wajetum so opese woma no eya dwuma anase wonye ntum se wonfa ne niema enwu honom no wonko se de beya wonom betimi agusa asoye no na asoye yi wonom ade ba ye se de beya ebeboa ama atentene ne ene enioma mu atimi ada hopefe wo my Ghana mu na nka ketasehye ne proye ya adokro wo man yi yetimi atu ase enu ti se John Dramani Mahama epese wo kire se wo pese antena honom na ni djuma omeka se wo pese wo yifiri won so a won kama yenhu sede ene wode ne nam na attorney general mo ede tumi e kire se enka sesei special prosecutor na so ye no kura no woni tumi se wode obia abekọ court na wakodi na asem no ne nyina yade a wode etata special prosecutor na so ye no na yade a emoa eno nti ene de woka nyina ene se aban no emra bonten na wo mekirem se or the special prosecutor office no ebedi juma ana onfa ni juma opanimpa ya wono eye mrahye bedwani adema adesia wonum ewo gusegu abato empesia so na wono kro ya esanye ranking member adema constitutional and legal affairs committee ewo mrahye bedwafie honorable sei na wode ensem no bi ede etuja na wokirem se Woma ni nyina enadi Hassan Tampidu say enwode etuja.
The demands of the minority. 1. The High Court ruling must be immediately challenged and stayed. And we call on the OSP to immediately appeal the decision of the High Court and immediately also apply for a stay of execution at the High Court. And we dare also add that he must also proceed to the Supreme Court with a writ of certiorari to quash the decision of the High Court. 2. We call on the Supreme Court to expedite its determination in Adamte versus the Attorney General. The Supreme Court question must be resolved definitely and authoritatively by the courts alone, by the court that alone has jurisdiction to resolve it. We call on the Honorable Chief Justice to treat this as a matter of great public importance, warranting urgent scheduling. 3. the Attorney General must be summoned before Parliament to account for his position. It is constitutionally unacceptable for the state's chief legal officer to actively argue against a statutory institution of the Republic in judicial proceedings without parliamentary accountability. The minority will table appropriate questions and, if necessary, move for a formal parliamentary inquiry. 4. We call on President Mahama to come clean with Ghanaians. He cannot continue to claim publicly that he supports the OSP while his own Attorney General argues for its constitutional destruction at the High Court and the Supreme Court. The President must choose, and he must choose publicly. Does he stand with the OSP, or he stands with the campaign to destroy the OSP? In conclusion, the office of the Special Prosecutor, and ladies and gentlemen, you must listen to me with rapt attention. The office of the Special Prosecutor was created because Ghana recognized a fundamental truth that you cannot rely on the government to prosecute itself. It was created because the Attorney General, however distinguished, serves at the pleasure of the President. It was created because history has shown repeatedly and painfully that corruption in Ghana's public life festers most vigorously when those who hold power are also those who decide whether to prosecute or not. What the NDC government has done through the repeal bill, through the petitions, through the Supreme Court filings, and now the High Court, is to attempt to restore exactly the structural vulnerability that the OSP was designed to cure. They want an Attorney General who must authorize every prosecution. And if you follow the argument of the Deputy Attorney General, he says that the office of the Special Prosecutor must come to them. In other words, every day he must take trotro to the Attorney General Department. If he wants to prosecute Mr. A, he goes for a warrant. He wants to prosecute Mr. B, another trotro to the office of the Attorney General. Is that what we are saying? Is that the intendment of the law? They want executive control over anti-corruption prosecutions. They want the power to decide, case by case, ally by ally, which corruption case is.
Ano Honorable Hassan Tampuli and the Sansemno at the Etuja ever honomo. Na se ye twaso so a yentwaso ewo voter region. Na ene said ye enframat jampan trudu. Ya ebofa eposo na ebano. Ene se okopiemu ewo honomo a. Na wotu etwamu na wie ye no. Ye hu se baako bi ama ne tisuo ewo honom. Eno enam so bi ama. Pampimia eno echa epono ene voter river no entemu. Ene ensuo no ahohoro edekọ. Eno na mrase bedwani ya wono ewo sa mantemu ehonom. Honorable Kwame Sifa Richard Edisa ensemi edi etuja no kire se aban ne nyantentempa na animuanemu ya wonya na dwen se wobetimi etu anamo bi edi afa ho na se adehia wonum eben esuo no eho no wobayi wonum afiri honum na wape kwampa bi de wonum afaso a wode afaso ansakura na sebi oyene bi aba abeha enipa hodo a wonum ete ensuo no ho ewo honum woni a ete won so wode kokobonsem akodi amawo mu se wonum wo anamontuo bi tu animuanimu ya won hwe won ho yie na won tu sa anamon no se de be ya enkofa oyene anase ensuo ya ye frɛ no tidal waves no emfa emefa wonum so na ensei ejapade ene enipa hodo emfa emfiri honum we ene enkomobo a Richard Kwame Sefe ede etuja.
There is a likelihood that over hundreds of communities within Southton, Angloga, Keta, as well as Ketu South, and if I'm not mistaken, part of Akachi South will also be affected. If the situation as it is now is not seen to, what is likely to happen is that for Angloga, we are visualizing that about 50 communities will go off the map if care is not taken now. If you go to South Tong, other communities that we counted, maybe about 6 or 5 of them may also go off. Likewise, part of Kata, that may include Anyako, Silva, and Ngolopi, Bolove, all may also go off. For Anglogan, which is currently the receiving district, if the situation is not seen to, you are likely to see a challenge where an area that we call the Koma area, which comprises of about 9 communities. That's Koji, Latama, Alakple, Achito, will all go off. Renwi will also not be spared. And even sessions of Anglogan
Honorable Sefe Ekoswa Editu just say Sadia we akoso voter region honum se abrebia enframa jampantrudui ebeyi nitie ewo poneso na any voter river na kan bomu no na eseye japade na eji nipa bi enkwafiri wonsam na so ne nyina mu no obewu se na nadmofo aduru ho na ne enkrofo de mo ene mattress na wonum de abase wonye se de beya ebeboa nanso aban bia nya na dwen se open lasting solution de ye freno solution ya eye ntentem na begina hono mache na nkofa oye nei emfa mabiem no eno de aban bia nya na dwen se ode beto ho eno ti wosre aban ya owosoi John Dramani Mahama aban se wonhwe na senka sea defense bi project bi no obeye wo honom na nka aboa amanioma eto atwa kora na emabiemu a enka no beboa sinsa dane da nyina na wonu mu kosa oyenemu ne yesesa emo ene ensuo ne niema ahodo na yede ebra wonu mu no.
It is not time that you go to meet the people now and give them blankets, food items and what have you, hoping that they may live on them and this. For them, they can go hungry and do whatever they can do. But we want to appeal to the government to come to the aid of the people. Our chiefs are also begging. Everybody, you go there now, it's a sorry situation that we should not be toying with. The people are not ready to receive blankets. They're not ready to receive rice and other handouts from anybody. What they wanted is protect the coastline for them. Even if people thought protection of the coastline is going to be the benefit of only those living around there, we are saying that it has now gone beyond that level and it's going to take away a lot of communities if immediate actions are not taken.
And Pennyfoya wonum eda bulk oil storage and transportation company the chanitia ekano Boston no and then wonum ababontin ebo amane se aban na montuo bi a watuo edefa wonum kakrawa ya eda oil eho fango ho abo my Ghana mu no aban no ese wotete so de eda diesel so no aban ne se wotete so na no no obo kokose se aban na nhwe yi a ebema bost wonum sika kakra abonya edefiri honom no eswate kura obebo ka bosomi bia anunti wosra ban no se wonhwe na anamontuo yi a watuo no ebra se Middle East nsensem no atimi achinchen so kakra na akofom a aban ne nhwe na nka entiswa wodo a wode ba ye no wonsan emfa nkonachi se de be ya bost wonum so betimi agina wonaso na wotimi adi won djuma aboa ama sedie o my Ghana yemfa ngo ho ensensem ane diesel ho nsem no atimi agina ne naso opanimpa ya wono eye deputy managing director Nat Salifu Echampong na ebra emrase bedwafie committee ya wonum ehwe energy eso no ede ensrahwe esese so awo wonum aso ye na ode sansem wo yi eto wonum anim.
We have seriously been hit by the reduction in boss margin, but it is not taken off completely. We still have the margin on petrol. It's only on diesel that we don't have the margin. But we've been promised it is only for a short period. Within this month, we are likely to lose close to 40 million Ghana cedis. And 40 million Ghana cedis off our books is serious business. So if you compare that, assuming we lose 40 million Ghana cedis consistently over a period, it means that our operation will adversely be affected. So we are appealing to the powers that be. When the crisis is over, they will restore the boss margin for the good people of Ghana. Nothing is free. If there's ever been a time that the government or the people of Ghana should empower...
Managing Director, Deputy, Mr. Obrempong, Ekoswa, Edi, Assembly, Etujan, Watcher, Ghana for Yanka, Wonomakuma, and to one yem. Said ye, Yadrin, Ayese, Middle East in some Iran, Israel, any US, Wonomo send someone Tokay, one share na fan go home, Ebequachi, or my Ghana mu. I don't know, sit Debbie, boss to four. Wonum our fan go do na baby, and a wonum, Adia said ye beya. A bet me aso on my Ghana, and fear baby, and until Yenya Botre, na Yankaya Kuma, and far and to yem. Say anode etuja.
Right now, all our fuel storage tanks across the country, we have 6 depots. All our tanks are full up. They are full up, even though we have sufficient product, we are expecting more vessels to come in. So in terms of petroleum products within this period, up to the next 6 to 8 weeks, we are covered.
Eno eye boss ensemo a wonum ede atuja ede afafan go ho ewo man Ghana mu anti abusia meka wo se kasie woni ate ho pa wa fiili de ewo fie ho no mu a meka wo se eye millennium wonum ase ye na waka sika botene bo mu ede so masene se memfa emesombo millennium construction se menka nchro se o man Ghana mu ba bibia da wo no se opese wo sidan anase opedan na ato anase ope adansie ho nneoma ahodo pi no abi na wato a ne nyina wonum ewo bi ewo wase ye obeboa ama wonsa atumi aka bi anoti frɛ won ewo ahomatrofo yi so numbers na egu screen nani no obefrɛ na woni wonum atwetwe enkomo obehu millennium construction ewo bosan na Yas Junction Kumasi asem na mekan wonum say adansie ho problem bi a wo no wonum ebe solve e de amount se opedan na ato estate adan ni bia hodo a ni nyina wonum beye e de amount na bibia so akoso kama anoti frɛ wonum na woni won eni juma millennium se menka kyerɛ se babia wo Ghana de wonum betimi asom wo medin e de Obrempong Akwasi Yeboah Macron.